Okay, hello and welcome to another Unity 3D tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to be learning about classes and generally what's the use of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a script called Apple, and we're going to open it and work on some classes. Let me zoom in for you guys for a bit so you can see more clearly. Okay, as you have noticed that it says class Apple. Because I created a script called Apple. By default, it chose the name Apple. So, and we can create other classes. We can also create public class, banana. Uh, okay, there you go. We can create it inside this class, or we can just create it outside of this class. It's your choice where you want to create it. It might depend on what you're using it for. So I'm going to create it here, and in fact I'm going to call it input settings, and it's going to hold all the settings for the input. So now once this class is created, what you can do is you can put stuff inside it like int, in fact let's do float mouse. In fact, let's do vector 2 mouse position. Maybe make that vector 2.0 to be default, and let's make it public so everyone can access it. Oops, sorry, public. And let's make it static as well. And I've told you the difference between static and non-static is basically static will mean that whenever the scene resets, your variable will still be there, it won't get deleted, and its value will be still the same as it was before. Non-static, whenever the scene resets or the scene loads, the value will get reset to its default value. And moreover, when it's static in like this, what we can do is we can just do input settings dot, and oops, sorry, I need to create a function first, so let's create a function, private void start. Okay, when it's like this, what we can do is type in input settings and then dot, and then access the mouse position directly like that. If it wasn't static, then we would have to create an object, and hopefully you know how to create an object, but I'm going to show you this anyways. It's the name, the type of the object, then the name of the object equals to new, then the type of the object, and these two brackets to close it off. Okay, now we just created that object there. Now we should be able to use the object to access the mouse position. There you go. Okay, now there are some advantages of static and disadvantages, and you can just experiment for yourself and figure this out. Okay, and okay, now let's go to update, and what we're going to do is we're going to get the input settings dot mouse position, and we're going to set it equal to the mouse position. Okay, we're going to set the mouse position variable equal to mouse position, which is vector 2, and which basically means where your mouse is. Okay, now that's very simple. Now we're going to also debug it out and show it. So input dot mouse position. There you go. Now let's minimize this and add it to our main camera. Come on, main camera. There we go. Let's play this and see what happens. Okay. Come on. There we go. As you can see, it at the bottom left, it's showing us the mouse position here. Okay, and obviously the z-axis is always going to be 0 because it's a vector 2. We chose a vector 2, and this was a vector 3. So we're converting a vector 3 into vector 2, and the mouse position is a vector 3, and I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, now we can basically move around, and as you can see, it updates the mouse position. This is 0, 0, 0. I think the bottom left is 0, 0, 0, and then yeah, so that's pretty much it. Okay, now you're probably wondering, why would we create a variable here instead of creating one in here? Why don't we just do that? Okay, and there's a simple answer for that, is because what we can do is we can create one class which basically handles everything, like public static. Let's make forward, oh, forgot the type, key code forward equals to keycode.w. So whenever we press W, and we can also do backward, and we're gonna use S as backward. So what we can do is we can store everything here, and we can just access it from any class. So since it's a public class and all of these are public static, we can basically create a new script and access all of these just the way we're doing it right now from here. In fact, what you can do is you can even delete this, and let's close this and call it oops, you need to remove this. Since this doesn't have a mono behavior, you need to remove it from that game object. It can't be used in a game object now. Let's rename it, call it settings, and we're gonna create another one called apple, and let's just wait for it to open. Okay, now we have two scripts. One is just a default script. I'm just going to remove this and set it up as I do normally. And there's one with no mono behavior attached to it, and it's got some static public variables here. You can also make it private static, but we're not going to do that. We want it public so everyone can access it, and there's public there. So now let's create a private void start. Okay, and what we can do is just type in input settings. As you can see, it's already popped up there, and mouse position equals to input dot mouse position. So as you can see, I can just access all of these from anywhere in any script basically. So that is basically a really handy feature. So yeah, and you can hopefully this will help you complete your game much better. And let's see what the time is. It's only 8 minutes, so I was wondering if I should teach you something else. So what I'm going to teach you is how to program something in C# and access it from JavaScript, because some of you might want to write a bit of code, and you want to you want to create some kind of function that can be accessed from C# and JavaScript. Okay, now the first thing you need to do is you need to create a folder, and I actually forgot the name of the folder. I think it was plugins, but hold on, let me just check that. I probably created it in another project. Way too much stuff in my head right now, so surround, there we go. Let's go into there, and it's called plugins. That's what it's called. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, now let's create a folder called plugins. Okay, now whatever script you put inside plugins will be read or executed or ran first, and then after that all the other scripts will be ran. Okay, so let's create a C# script, call it my awesome script. Let's call it my awesome script. Okay, and open it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the mono behavior, because we're not going to be attaching it to a game object. It's just going to be lying here. Okay, and we're gonna create public static function void, let's call it my function, and let's see what it's going to do is it's going to take two integers x and y and it's gonna add them. Okay, so it's going to debug and it's gonna print them out. So debug.log, in fact we don't even need that, plus y. There you go. So this is our little function here, and hopefully we should be able to access this from JavaScript and C#. So now let's go back. Okay, now let's create another folder called script. Now you can put your script anywhere, but don't put it in the plugins folder, because your plugins folder contains the script that needs to be read first before everything else. Okay, now let's go into script and let's create a JavaScript and lame script. Come on, because everyone who's been watching my tutorials knows that JavaScript is awesomer and just superior. Okay, oops, that thing popped up. Okay, now Visual Studio doesn't like JavaScript that much, so I'm gonna just have to basically guess everything. It doesn't make spell checks or anything. Okay, now okay, what you need to do is you need to type in the class name and then the function, and just use the function as normally. So let's type in 5 and 6 and see what happens. So my awesome script, my function, and then 5 6, so it should access these, and we're using JavaScript to access C# stuff. And let's drag this script inside of main camera, this JavaScript. So remember, this is JavaScript and the other one was C#. Let's play this. What happens is 11. So as you can see, it works perfectly. And let's use C# as well to show you that we can use C# as well. Another script. Okay, reload, and let's put it in here as well. My awesome script dot my function. There you go, auto-filling it for me. And let's do 4 plus actually some random number, some big number. There you go. And we're gonna put that in main camera as well. Okay, now it should print it out twice. Let's go to console to observe it. Okay, there you go. There's once, as you can see, C# was executed first, and then JavaScript was executed after that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully it will help you a lot in your game development and just generally programming. And I'm going to be doing actually more tutorials soon, so I'm probably going to be doing a game series where I basically make a game and do the multiplayer and everything, and then we're all gonna basically kind of improve on that game. Okay, so see you next time, and hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.